Akim Olufemi Gbajabiamila. God bless you all.
To further amend the Electoral Act number 13, number 13/2022.
House amends 2022 Electoral Act, expands delegates' participation in primaries. And heads of parliaments push for debt cancellation for African countries. Welcome to this episode of House Ticket. An emergency sitting once again had the House reconvening for one day. This time, it was the electoral bill that was up for amendment. Details of why an amendment was necessary is part of this episode of House Ticket. In another development, the quick intervention by lawmakers also saw to a crisis in the aviation sector being averted. What were the issues that came up? For details of these stories and more, stay tuned to House Ticket, your window into the activities of our elected representatives. My name is Firdaus Ahmed Wakili, your anchor. Stay tuned.
If we set our minds right, embrace each other in love and brotherhood, we will come through these troubling times. We will survive, we will recover, and then we will thrive. One nation under God, free, peaceful, and prosperous.
The program starts with a review of the emergency sitting of the House on Wednesday, 11th of May 2022. Top on the agenda was the amendment of the 2022 Electoral Act to make room for more delegates to participate in party primaries. Let's get the details.
When the House cut short its break and reconvened for an emergency plenary session on Wednesday, the 11th of May 2022, it had one item as its main agenda. It was the amendment of the 2022 Electoral Act. Legislative action. The bill for the amendment of the Electoral Act and other bills scaled first reading.
Electoral Act Amendment Bill 2022, first reading. National Commission for Colleges of Education Act, Repeal and Enactment Bill 2022, first reading. Copyright Bill 2022, first reading. Federal University of Transportation, Daura, Katsina State Establishment Bill 2022, first reading. Federal Polytechnic, Orozo Establishment Bill 2022, first reading. Health Education Practitioners Board, ETC Establishment Bill 2022, first reading.
Act number 13/2022, and for later matter standing in the honorable none of the House leader. Now, all members record the bill was read the first time on Wednesday, 11 May 2022, and I invite the leader to move that the bill be read second time.
Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I rise upon your directives that a bill for an act to further amend the Electoral Act number 13, number 13/2022, and for related matters, HB 1991, be read the second time. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I so move respectively.
I rise to second the motion moved by the House Leader. I so second.
Mr. Speaker, honorable members, we are here converge on the Green Chamber of the House of Representatives to address a simple issue that involves our electoral process. Mr. Speaker, it is a matter that we consider very fundamental. My respected colleagues, it's a matter that is very critical, that in our journey to nationhood and through our legal democratic processes, we feel it is worthy that this House do convene this afternoon to consider this important amendment. We have discussed enough among ourselves, and I believe each and every one of us is ready for this national assignment. I therefore want to urge honorable members that upon the discussions we have had, upon the commitment we have made to ourselves, that this is a worthy amendment. I urge my respected colleagues to move in the same line, on same direction, to be able to cure this particular injury in the body of our legal framework.
Bill was then passed for second reading and referred to the Committee of the Whole.
Right Honorable Speaker, honorable members, a bill for an act to further amend the Electoral Act number 13/2022 and for related matters, second reading.
Bill referred to Committee of the Whole.
The House considered the clause in question, that is Clause 84 subsection 8 of the 2022 Electoral Act.
Clause 1, Clause 2, Clause 3, Explanatory Memoranda, long title, move that revert to plenary to report progress.
When the House reverted to plenary, it reported progress of the report of the Committee of the Whole.
Respected colleagues, the House of the Committee of the Whole considered a report on a bill for an act to amend the Electoral Act number 13/2022 and for related matters, approve clauses 1, 2, and 3, the long title and the explanatory memoranda of the report. Leader, move for the adoption of the report.
That this House do adopt the report of the Committee of the Whole as reported by the Speaker.
I rise to second the motion moved by the House Leader that we do adopt this report. I so second.
Against say nay. That's have it. Chairman rules, move for the suspension of our rules to enable us to take the third reading of the bill.
I move that we do suspend our relevant rules to enable us to take a third reading of this bill and also to adopt the votes and proceedings of today's sitting. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
In favor of the motion, say aye. Against say nay. That's have it. The next order of the day is the third reading of Bill for an Act to amend the Electoral Act number 13/2022 and for related matters standing in the name of the House Leader. House Leader is invited to move the motion for the third reading.
I rise to move that the bill for the amendment of the Electoral Act 2022 HB 1984 be read the third time. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I so read.
Against say nay. That's have it. Clerks invited to read the long title of the bill.
Amend the Electoral Act number 13/2022 and for related matters, third reading.
With this development, the President, governors, local government chairmen, as well as councillors are also delegates at party primaries. The Deputy Speaker appreciated lawmakers for their contributions, saying more attention should also be accorded to other national matters such as the education sector.
And I want to use and beg our chairmen of committees of labor, education, to expedite action on the resolution of the crisis in the education industry. This will go a long way in helping our citizens. I want to beg that please let us do the right thing so that we'll resolve the matter as quickly as possible. The House has intervened a number of issues, and I think it will not be too much if it cannot be resolved within a very short period of time for us again, either for the leadership to intervene if there is no much progress. I pray there will be a very excellent progress moving ahead. Thank you very much.
Earlier same day, lawmakers at the Green Chamber considered and approved two motions under matters of urgent public importance. The first one was moved by Representative Khadija Bukar on the flood and sandstorm in Damaturu, the Yobe State capital.
House notes that on Monday, 9th of May 2022, there was a heavy downpour which led to flood disaster in Damaturu local government area of Yobe State. Concerned that the flood disaster caused extensive damage, destroyed several properties, 13 people have been left dead, over 52 people injured, and properties worth millions of naira destroyed in different parts of the metropolis, including Ungwar Karo, Nainawa, and other parts of the town. Aware that the affected area represents the food basket of Yobe State, worried that the displaced people are now stranded and require assistance as a result of the heavy downpour.
House resolved to call on the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, and the Northeast Development Commission to assess the level of damage and urgently provide relief materials for the affected families. Direct the Federal Ministry of Environment and other government agencies saddled with the responsibilities of flood and erosion control to come to their aid.
Further aware that about
On his part, Representative Danju Mashidi drew attention to the killing of security personnel and civilians in Takum local government area of Taraba State.
Note that on Tuesday 10th, 2022, bandits and terrorists attacked Tati village in Takum local government area of Taraba State. Informed that the bandits ambushed the security agents who were outnumbered and in the ensuing phase of 6 soldiers were killed. This was after bandits had earlier killed a policeman at the tape point and other civilians at Tati, and the commander of the 93 battalion is missing in action. Further aware that about a month ago, the bandits had struck Kwankwi, Kwamboy, Kangu, Tati Kumbo, Tati area, and others Bansa, Fawen, Kashiti, Muji, Takulogum area, and Usalogum.
The House, in adopting the motion, observed a minute's silence in honor of those killed.
May their soul rest in perfect peace.
In other resolutions, the House urged the Chief of Army Staff and Inspector General of Police to deploy more security personnel to the area and fish out the bandits. It also called on NEMA to provide relief materials for the survivors.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Against say nay. That's a bit.
The program is House Ticket. Earlier on, we recapped the emergency sitting of the House of Representatives on the 11th of May 2022, highlighting the amendment of the Electoral Bill to make elected officials delegates amongst other matters discussed. In our next segment, we shall take a report of the meeting between the House leadership and the airline operators, a meeting which averted the planned shutdown of the aviation sector. Let's get the details.
I'm going to...
The intervention by the House of Representatives helped in averting the planned shutdown of domestic airline operations in Nigeria. The airline operators had planned to shut down their services over the rising price of aviation fuel, known as Jet A1, from 190 naira per litre to 700 naira being currently sold. The leadership of the House, led by the Speaker, Representative Femi Gbajabiamila, had on Monday, the 9th of May 2022, interfaced with stakeholders in the aviation industry in order to find a lasting solution to the Jet A1 price hike. Among the stakeholders are the Group Managing Director of NNPC, Mele Kyari, CBN Governor, Mr. Godwin Emefiele, and members of airline operators in Nigeria.
Shutdown of airline operations has the potential of shutting down this government. We cannot sit here as stakeholders, fold our arms and watch this happen. I think we had a couple of meetings in the last couple of months here. Certain resolutions were made or arrived at which, had they been executed, we wouldn't even be sitting here today. Yes, the strike has been called off, but the question is, do we always have to wait for a strike to be called? Or do we use this opportunity, now that the strike has been called off, to resolve this matter once and for all?
It was agreed between the marketers and the operators, these measures. I remember it was put down by the GMD alongside the two other interesting parties. That one, a transparent basis of pricing, which is a reference benchmark that is quoted transparently in the market, be done. Subsequently, that the exchange rate for the Naira, so that anyone can compute once it's known, as a basis for the in time that will pricing or the change of prices. And we also agree that the premium that differ from customer to customer depending the volume of the product. This one they are talking about the consumption is what will determine the price. And lastly, credit limit that is agreeable between the parties. This was a language between them for. These were the resolutions going forward.
Mr. Obiora Okonkwo is the chairman, United Nigeria Airlines. He had this to say.
Right here, the resolution we had on that day was that fuel will be sold to us at 500, which we protested actually that 500 was still on the high side, because even when fuel was selling at 200 or 250, the operating costs was about 40%. And worldwide, it is like that. Aviation is universal. It's not just peculiar to Nigeria. It's one aviation all over the world. So everywhere, it's 40% of your operating cost. So when it was 205, 250, it was about 40% of our operating costs. Now it rose to 400 naira to 450. That was when we were alarmed, and you notice that everybody, tweaked his inventory. When we now raised our base fare to about 50,000, which did not actually address the matter, that was when it was 400. And we were invited to these chambers, and when we came here, it was reached that they would be giving us fuel at 500 within 3 days. That never happened, sir. Much later, we got invited by the midstream, downstream authority, and we were told that the president approved 25,000 metric tons for us as a palliative to help us.
The airline operators stated their demands before the lawmakers.
What the airline operators of Nigeria is asking for, we recognize the fact that Forex has gone up, everything has gone up, but for goodness sake, let the marketers and NNPC, not just the marketers, NNPC, they also should address this issue, because this government has supported aviation more than any other government in Nigeria. This government has improved the lots of aviation more than any other government in Nigeria. And we owe a lot of gratitude not only to President Muhammad Buhari, but to this house, especially the House of Reps, because you people spearheaded the passing into law, the customs waivers. We don't pay duties on importation of aircraft and aircraft spares. We don't pay duties on importation of aircraft itself. We don't pay duties on the spare parts. We don't pay VAT either. So this government has supported aviation more than any other government.
Is it possible, it's a very direct question, is it possible to give them a concessionary, that sector, a concessionary rate?
No, it is not possible.
Please, can we know why?
Foreign exchange which NNPC is using to import is the same foreign exchange that we would have used to import. So even if NNPC even gives us that dollar to import, for us to allocate to the marketers, it will still have come at those prices because of the current plat price. If I'm correct, JMD, you can correct me. So these are some of the issues that, and I can understand that NNPC is trying to run away from being compelled to pay subsidy. And the same way here, we are also trying to say, as much as possible, even those who are even were able to allocate what is available in foreign exchange to, are able to get them at a price of about between 410, some 420, and some 430. And by the time they look at other costs, and I believe that it will eventually result in the kind of pricing with the PPMC, I believe, right? PPMC MD had spoken about. So that is the reason it will be difficult for us to grant any concession, because it means that we'll be taking a hit or we'll be providing some form of subsidy.
Honorable Speaker, there's no alternative to managing a deregulated product then you deal with it as it is. We have one choice, either to put subsidy on it or not. If we say we will not put subsidy on it, market forces will play. And this market forces, NNPC is not, and for the records, Right Honorable Speaker, NNPC is not interested in importing a ticket. We did it because this Honorable House directed us that we should intervene. We did it also because Mr. President said that we should do something to stabilize the market.
So we're here to look for more lasting solutions. And one of the things I think we may be able to, I'm looking at a breakthrough here, if we can zero in and drill down on it, is the idea of conceding to them the license to import their own jet fuel.
On continental politics, Speaker of the House of Representatives, Representative Femi Gbajabiamila, said the Conference of Speakers and Heads of African Parliaments was formed to ensure good governance in Africa and particularly to pursue debt cancellation for African countries. The Speaker said this at the inaugural conference of the parliamentary leaders in Abuja, Nigeria. The Speaker was addressing journalists after the two-day conference with the theme Enhancing Africa's Post-COVID-19 Economy through Parliamentary Leadership. He added that the effort of the heads of parliament is also to fight corruption, which is the bane of development. Speaker Gbajabiamila recommended the establishment of an African Center for Vaccine Research and Production. He explained that the joint center can be located where all the African countries can contribute to its development. Earlier, the recommendations of the conference were read out.
That's the much we can take on this episode of House Ticket. Though plenary is billed to resume on the 23rd of May 2022, lawmakers remain ready to answer the call in order to address matters of urgent national importance. We on House Ticket will continue to bring you details as events unfold. I am Firdaus Ahmed Wakili. See you next week on another episode of the program. God bless Nigeria.